Okay, so here's the story of Timeless Heroes. There are three teenagers, right? And these three teenagers are normal, everyday people. They still go to school. Um, and their older brother, played by my brother Mark, he's supposed to be, the one in charge of the family, basically, when the parents are out or whatever. So they go out one day, one Friday night, deciding to go to the movies, and they take a shortcut through like these woods, like a meadow or something. And this is about how human beings respond to film. I'm sure we're all aware that film has some kind of effect on us, even to an arbitrary or simple extent. We have emotional reactions to ideas, characters, interactions, story beats, and music. This is an extremely simplified. You gotta have a trailer. A lot of the past year for me has been about reflection. How and why I made something, and using those discussions as a sort of way to demystify the filmmaking process for people that, are also interested in just making things. I've been making movies for 10 years now, and, my technicality has changed, and my priorities have changed, and I talk about all that stuff obnoxiously often. But what those things were, what my technicality was and what my priorities were at the time is really important to me. It's who I was. This year has been more about trying to understand that guy than it's been about, trying to move forward. I've been looking back a lot. I think I've spent enough time talking about back then, and maybe it's time for me to stop analyzing my old material. I mean, there's only so much you can learn from that. So I think it's finally time that I move forward. But before I do, this peaked with my attempt at a feature film, Timeless Heroes, which one day I will go very, very deep into. Me and my brother Mark were artists. And by that I mean we used to draw a lot and write stories. A lot of it was comic books because the extent of the culture we were exposed to was just superheroes, stuff like that. We read Captain Underpants when we were young, which, to us was just a book about these two kids that just wrote comic books and sold them on the playground for 50 cents a piece. And it was the first time I ever felt demystified about anything. You're told often as a kid that there's a lot of stuff that you can't or shouldn't do, and along comes this book that basically tells us, hey, if you want, you can make something. You can make art. The most prevalent creations out of everything that we made with those comic books was the Timeless Heroes, which were literally just us as superheroes. It was me, it was my brother Mark, and it was my cousin Ashley. There was Iron Fist, not to be confused with Marvel Comics Iron Fist. There was Sticky Fingers, which was me, and there was Miss Slick Kick, which was my cousin Ashley. I miss being 10.
I think there were a lot of elements from different things that I took. Like, for the main character, Iron Fist, for example, like, I was big on martial arts. So, of course, I had him wearing, like, the gi that the martial artist would wear.
Yeah, I used elements from everything that I could think of that I thought was cool, and I kind of mashed it all together into one specific mess of a thing. Like, I know that I could grow extra arms, I could disappear and reappear at will. I was a master thief for some reason, and I could shape my arms and hands into anything I wanted, like a weapon or anything like that. It was weird. It was a nightmare.
I know Ashley was into soccer at the time. I kind of took this thing of like kicking that she had, and I kind of like just put that into her hero.
It was mostly just a fun hobby for us. It gave us something to draw, just a fun little creative outlet on the side, and actually it really set up a lot of the creative bedrock to how I would tell stories. The first big movie that I ever made, one that would shape my entire future as a filmmaker and dictated all of the disciplines I learned from smaller projects past, was a Nightmare on Elm Street fan film. No, I'm gonna grab you and you're gonna go, just like shake. Okay. We got together, everyone on the block, to make that movie. It was the first real time that I forced myself to sort of, step outside my comfort zone and to film with other people. Because up until that point I was kind of just filming stuff by myself. And I figured it was a good way to expand my horizons a little bit. And action.
Hey, Mary.
What's up?
The best part about Elm Street was that it was just a group of kids. You know what I mean? It was like a project, and not just a random group of kids, like kids that we grew up together with.
Everybody wave.
Wait, I should take a bow, right? And even if it was just us filming, everybody else from the neighborhood was like behind stage. So I think it was fun.
Nice.
You want to hang out?
I didn't really know the kids across the street that well until we started doing that, until we started filming. And after that, it's safe to say I got closer to them and became more comfortable around the neighborhood.
There were so many moving parts to that first movie. And I think that there were two things that I learned going forward. And they were, first of all, I wanted to make my own thing going forward. I didn't want to make any more fan films. And the other thing was, I wanted a smaller group, the most dedicated bunch from working on Elm Street I wanted to work on my next movie with. And so, Timeless Heroes.
Timeless Heroes?
Yeah, that's our name.
What is it supposed to mean?
Since our powers existed a long time ago and they still do today, we are timeless.
I used to handwrite all of my scripts. It was my version of doodling in class. While my professor was talking, I would be writing in my notebook what they assumed were notes for the class, but they were really a movie. There were post-it notes with what songs I had in mind to play at whatever specific time. There were drawings, recreations of what I thought scenes were gonna look like. It was simultaneously the most technical thing I have ever done and the least professional thing I would ever make. What was it about?
A war between heaven and hell.
I guess as far as the plot would go, it would have started in the past.
I remember
right?
like something. This is bigger than all of us, and
It
I'm
was
like,
just
oh, damn. Like, what is bigger than all of us?
It was a little iffy, like in the beginning, I guess.
Sensation, like all over the
Like
media.
3 different characters
Cousins
coming together,
and brothers
kind
and
of.
siblings.
Hey, cousin.
They would kind of fuse with them and gain their powers.
Get powers.
Kind of use those powers
Save
to
the world.
fight a common enemy.
Why is Heroes spelled with a Z?
That was my idea. It doesn't matter.
I think if I were to like reread the script again, I'm like, what the hell was Evan thinking? Like,
It was action movie conventions. It was a lot of religious iconography because I had apparently spent a lot of time growing up around that kind of stuff, and it made its way into the stories. I mean, the main villain of the movie is the devil. The horns are removable. They're not meant to stay there. So I'm gonna be taking those off once I put the latex on. I just assembled everything just to see how it would look like all together, and it actually looks really good. I was pulling out every stop. There were weird special effects I decided I had to make.
Yeah, no, it didn't work.
And despite that, I had no idea how to do any of it. I was working really hard, but it was all with ignorance, and I think a lot of that ignorance kind of made its way into the actual filming. Alright. Yep. It's filming. Stay.
Fucking asshole, stay.
So you're gonna
I had an afternoon class, and you would come home from school, because I think you're still in high school, so you get home at like 2:30 and I have to be at school at 4:30. So we had like a half an hour to 45-minute gap before each class for us to shoot.
That's a lot. Can I give you a look? Wait.
I always came in my red shirt because I was told I had to wear a red shirt, which was like fine, it's part of my costume.
Can I like?
Yeah.
And it got to the point where it's like, because I was going to school right before, I would always have a red shirt, so probably people thought I was wearing like the same shirt every time again I was in class.
You see it all the time in these cartoons and stuff. Even in the comics, I'm pretty sure we had us wearing the same exact thing in every panel, in every page, in every issue. And that's fine. That's fine. As far as translating to reality, the consistency was fun. It was fun. I always liked that, wearing that bright blue shirt anyway.
So, what's gonna happen in this part is, I am going to hug you. Yeah, it actually wasn't very often that the three of us were together in one space. Alright, so we're gonna be walking. There was a lot of weird trickery there, like, you know, just pretending that somebody was out of frame and then just filming their part on another day. Ready? Go.
Uncle Alex.
I love you, bro.
I don't think it made much of a difference in the finished version, just because, you know, we've got different schedules and stuff and things that take us away from what we really want to do.
You don't think it like took away from any scenes?
No, not really, because you know what, you gave her time and you put it together and the scene worked.
Prophecies?
The entire production could probably be summed up with that kind of attitude. I remember I had short hair in one scene. I kind of let my hair grow for too long before I shot the scene that was supposed to take place right before that. And so while I was filming that scene, I had to kind of write in me cutting my own hair in that scene instead of just getting a haircut.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
It was all done really oddly.
Give it up, buddy. Oh shit, I forgot what the line was.
But in a way, it was a sort of disciplinary thing. You know, one of the biggest things I did was I set a deadline, even though I didn't have to.
I think at the time, you see all these commercials about these amazing movies and here's the date it's coming out, but you don't realize that they're already done. They're already done filming. You just said, I'm going to start now. By the way, it's coming out on this day. So everything, the stars have to align, and the sun and the moon have to create this great light that shines only one time a year, and that day is this day. And that is the day my movie comes out.
I think that at a point, it all just kind of became too much. You know, I asked a lot of other people, and I asked a lot of myself, and eventually it all just kind of crumbled. You know, it fell apart. The next thing I wanted to talk about, and this is going to be the toughest thing to get out, but I need to do it in video. Timeless Heroes is being canceled. After almost 2 years of production, working on what was supposed to be the biggest film project that I ever put together, I've now canceled it. It's no longer going to come out. I was talking to nobody. I was still announcing things, and I was advertising for things, and I was putting things out there on YouTube with a viewer base of 6 or so people that actively watched what I was making. But I was still making stuff. I wanted those 6 or so people to know that my dumb movie wasn't going to grace their YouTube subscriptions box, even though it didn't matter. None of it really mattered. I mean, who cares?
Timeless Heroes will forever be a big part of not only my childhood, but I assume yours too. Maybe Abby's. I loved it. I was loving it. Like, this is what I made coming to life here. I have no doubt that if you did something like that again, you can obviously make it look fantastic. With time comes improvement, and you have in fact improved.
I think picking me, I'm glad you did, because like I said, it was something so close to your heart. So I'm really flattered. it was definitely something that I'll never forget, only because it took, people think that it was like easy peasy, but no, it took like a summer and a half to like put it all together. So I just like always replay it because I'm like so obsessed with him. Maybe because I know like the behind story to it, so it's like a little bit personal to me, a little bit closer to me, but I just, I love it.
I've been back to visit the old house at least once or twice since we left.
Yeah.
Like, I've been in the neighborhood for appointments and shit, but I don't think you have, so, like, what?
That's true, that's true. Yeah, this is my pretty much first time back in this neighborhood in about, almost 2 years.
This is where the opening shots of Elm Street were filmed. I remember I filmed a lot of them just in front of the house, just sweeping across.
The last scene was in my stoop.
A lot of it is akin to me stumbling around in the dark. I think about it every once in a while, and I cringe because it is dated.
Yep.
And it not being finished was huge to me at first. I didn't want the work to go to waste, so I decided that I would show people what I did. The scene that follows this one, which I'm about to show for you right now, and provide a little bit of context between some scenes and kind of, I guess, let it speak for itself. I think that what I would never have expected was that it not being done meant that they could see it as we saw it. As a project. This was the last of my Growing Pains projects, and in looking through all those old videos, I realized a lot about myself, and even stuff I didn't realize I was learning at the time. That's how you do it. I think just from what we experience around us, we pick up plenty of technical skills, a lot of priorities due to culture, and in the case of Timeless Heroes, I learned about the value of unfinished projects.
Wow, high definition. Over from 144 to 280p.
Jesus. How come when Mark touches the rock, all three of us get powers? I don't know.
Yeah, right? Like,
wait.
Are you okay? Let me try.
Mark looks like sensitive.
I love my favorite line here. Ready? Here goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Research?
We have to read.
If you watch this like it's a cartoon, it's still the worst thing ever.
I picture you just feeding them their lines. They have no idea what the fuck they're talking about.
Honestly, Mark, did you have any idea what this was about?
No,
Either
I
of you?
didn't.
Here.
I thought it's because I didn't speak English that well, but I realized I spoke English well, I just didn't know what the fuck.
I'm fairly certain that was a Spanish to English dictionary in my hand.
Let me put my sunglasses so I can see better.
In the dark. The glasses, the source of my power.
Oh my god. Alright, that was it. That was
it?
everything. Yeah, that was everything we filmed for it.
Yeah.
Woo! That rocked. I loved it. 10 out of 10.
Did we win at the end?
Yeah!
I think we won.
Yeah, we fight the devil in the middle of those woods that we filmed in that one time. What a mess. RIP.